Kind of a little segment we're calling Humor Me. And if you cannot find the humor in playing on a bad team, I don't know how you survive it. And I think most of you have played on teams that were subpar. And Kenny's already got his hand raised. I think about the fact that, Kenny, you played on a team that you were. I'm trying to think of what your record was.
Not good.
But it was not good. Was it tough to play every night? Did you often take the floor knowing you were going to lose, that the Sacramento Kings were going to lose that night?
No, you have a delusion that you're going to win games. But
in fact, you were 24 and 58.
Yeah, you have a delusion, but, you know, Bill Russell at the time was our coach, and we had an interesting concept with me as a rookie. He said to me on the bus, he said, "You're going to have to sit next to me on the bus the whole time." And I was like, I didn't want to do that. I'm like, I don't want to sit next to the coach the bus and the plane rides and everywhere.
Oh,
I started walking to the back, and he grabs me back. He said, "Young fella, you got to sit next to me." I'm like, why do I have to sit? Because he's a loser. He's a loser. And they're never going to win. So LaSalle Thompson wasn't one of the guys he pointed. He's like, you can't call these guys losers. You know, what are you doing? He's like, I'm trying to trade them. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants them. And if you don't believe me, you can come in the office and sit with me. So Bill Russell was a very keep-it-real coach.
Were those losses tough to take, Kenny? I mean, when you lose 58 games in a season, I'm imagining that from when you started playing organized basketball, you hadn't lost 58 games in your life.
No. I mean, it's difficult. And my agent used to say you could tell when the season started by looking at what I was spending, my spending habits. Because in the season, I would spend more money trying to please myself and make myself up. So I would spend money. I would buy things for myself to make myself good.
What kind of
I would buy cars.
What kind of items would you buy?
I would buy all these kind of things just to make myself feel better. You spend more money because you know you're losing. But the last part about it is, in practice, Coach Russell really didn't run practice that much. So he would let Willis Reed run the practices. So he would read the paper. He was kind of like Bear Bryant. So he's sitting down, he's reading the paper, and all of a sudden I look over and you see him sleeping in practice. So he kind of stumbles and everyone laughs. And he's like, "Everybody out of practice. If y'all wasn't so damn boring, I wouldn't be sleeping here." You was out of practice for us being boring, for him falling asleep.
1994-95, C. Webb, you're in Washington, and your team goes 21-61. That was pretty funny, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was real funny, especially coming from Golden State, where we went to the playoffs the year before. But one thing I think this happens on every bad team is everybody starts out the season kumbaya. We love each other.
Kumbaya.
We gonna do it. We gonna make it. You got guys that getting the same tattoos and all this, and then in the middle of the season, you know, you just see it. It all starts with guys' shot selection. You win 2, you lose 2, you lose 3 games, and a guy that, you know, had a good practice last week, he takes a 3-point shot he never should have taken. The coach don't say nothing. No, you have guys fighting that used to be mentors, that used to be cool, and that in D.C. was the first time that I just saw dysfunction. I come from, you know, pretty good winning in college, pretty good winning in high school, and there I saw, okay, when you lose, guys turn at each other's throats, and you got to watch out. Guys are going for their numbers, and that was the main way, you know, seeing guys go get their numbers.
No, but I was thinking, you know, I was like the luckiest guy ever. I mean, I played on 2 teams in 15 years that didn't make the playoffs. One was your rookie year, and we barely missed.
Right.
We went 41-41 with Orlando.
Right. Way to
barely
blame
missed
Shaq for that one. That's
yeah. But the other one was in Cleveland just because of injuries. But other than that, I was on great teams. But I was thinking about Steve Smith and I actually were in the same game, biggest blowout in NBA history.
Thanks, Steve.
Remember that?
Yeah,
I just thought I'd remind.
Remember.
I still remember the score, 148-80.
Left of the lane, goes into the lane with a running right-hand hook off the back of the rim, no good. Nance knocks the ball outside to Price. Price over the timeline, down to the circle, back to Nance. He drives for it from the right hand. Right wing to Kerr. Kerr out front, back to Ferry, right side, steps back for a 3. Got it! Danny Mary with 11. This is going to do it. Haskins dribbles ahead, and the game is mercifully over. The Cavaliers destroy the Miami Heat 148-80. This is the largest margin of victory in the history of the National Basketball Association.
I mean, it was unreal.
It was unreal.
Kevin Locker was our coach, you know, and Kevin Locker was unreal with stories. And I mean, every time the timeout, he came out and says, "You know what? We're not going to win this game.
Oh, really?
But see what you're made of. You're like, we're not that good right now. I mean, we were getting blown out. I think at one time we were down 70 points at one time.
But then you cut it to 68.
Yeah, we cut it to 68, yeah. We were down 70.
How about playing teams, Charles, that you knew were bad? And that this should be a stat night for you. This should be no problem.
I think it's a stat night for the bad players, to be honest with you. Like when you're a star, most of the plays are designed to go to you. You're going to always get your numbers. I always look when we play the bad team, the guys who are going out working hard in practice every day who don't get in the game, I always try to make a concentrated effort to get them going. Because they're not going to have 20 points that often. I mean, stars going to average 20, so it's no big deal. But there are guys like the 11, 12 guys, 8, 9, 10, who they might not get 20 maybe once a year if they're lucky. I always looked at it as an opportunity to like, okay, let me try to get those guys going.
Oh, you were Robin. That's the way for.
But now
you were Robin Hood. But that's the way. But that's the way though, as a leader, especially for team chemistry. And you know, when you play against a bad team, the guys that practice all week and you know that go hard, they're doing the extra things. They never get any shine. You're right. That's the time to get a big lead and let them get their work in.
But those are teaser games when you're playing against bad teams because you know you're going to get your numbers.
Yeah.
But we used to go into games when we would play bad teams and be like, you know what? Let's let them hang around until the fourth quarter so they think they're going to have a shot to win the ball game. And then, you know, as great teams do, you could turn it on and turn it off any time.
Cruel.
Bad, you're right. And that's what the NBA is. It's a cruel game. And that's what we used to do with bad teams.
Jack, have you played on what you'd characterize as a bad team?
Not really. I just used to hate playing against the bad teams that had like the 13, 14-game losing streak. Because you didn't want to be the team that they broke the streak.
So you really paid attention. You really paid attention to that. People would say, "Hey, they don't want to be the team," but you're really thinking that.
And then, believe it or not, a lot of those games were hard because you know everybody's a professional, but you know these guys like really play hard. So you would always have to get into playoff mode. You know, you would really have to play to compete because you didn't want to be the team that lost. I mean, that got beat by a team that just lost 15 in a row.
Akeem used to always joke about playing bad teams, and he'd come in the locker room. He's like, "Oh, tonight's my night off. My night off." He said, "But not you, Kenny. Not you, Cassell, because there's never bad guards on bad teams." So when we played Dallas,
here you go. Like, hold on. It's a lot of bad guards. It's a lot of bad guards. But it's bad everything else.
Hold on. I'm going to tell you what he said. I'm just telling you what the greatest center I know said.
Yeah, here's what I wonder. I would say 90% of your stories, Kenny, include a mention of Akeem.
No question.
I'm wondering what percentage of Akeem's stories have a mention of Kenny in it.
But I'll tell you what,
I don't think it's anywhere.
You got to know where your bread is buttered. I'm happy. Thank you, Akeem, again. One more mention. That's why I'm here at TNT.